you better buckle up, bucko, because you're in for another creepy video. These disturbing theories, weird facts, and crazy hypotheses might just keep you up your entire night. If you haven't already, smash that like and subscribe button. And remember, these videos are for entertainment purposes only. It's up to us to distinguish fact from fiction and do our own research on everything. Let's dive in.
One of the hunters set up his blinds near where he's seen Bigfoot tracks. And in less than 20 feet away from him, he gets the surprise of a lifetime. Look at this Sasquatch, you guys. Clear, HD. Look at him hiding behind the bush there. And this was captured by a hunter at 2:21 p.m. Broad daylight. As you can see, his nostrils are like humans. They're facing down. Wide. One of the hunters set up his blinds near where he's seen Bigfoot tracks.
Unbelievable, they finally got us behind. Look at him. Is that Bigfoot in the flesh? Unbelievable.
Oh, 神奇哦！就是可以看到在那个旁边那个光大，对。
Nah, this is creepy. A cloud just doesn't have some type of like beam of veil over it like that. This is ridiculous. Like a giant cloaking mechanism or something, man.
So underground tunnels in Los Angeles with Starbucks. So last night I watched this video where the guy's NDA was expired. He was able to talk about the secret tunnels going around Los Angeles and that he even worked at the Starbucks in the secret tunnels. And the crazy part to me is people in the comments did not believe him for some reason, which blew my mind, but let's get into it. Not only have underground cities and tunnels been used forever, it's also knowingly used by the US military. These are called military bases. Here's the Schneider network map, and Phil Schneider was a whistleblower talking about what's happening in these deep underground tunnels. Since then, many people have come on talking about it and talking about all the different species that you will find in the tunnels. Now I'm very serious. Like for instance, when the Denver airport was made, there were a lot of allegations that there were underground tunnels. But then when they renovated, they're dropping some really weird things. Apologies for the noise, it takes big drills to get to the underworld. And what are we doing? Which brings me back to this picture right here. I'll have to make a separate video diving into every single one of these entities. There's a lot more proof than you may think, but they're not from outer space. And besides different species and military, underground cities all over the world serve for protection from catastrophic events. It appears as if Earth has been through many apocalypses, many catastrophic endings and new startings, like when all this stuff happened, a brand new beginning. This was our beginning, actually. And if we pay attention to Sam Altman and other tech CEOs, it seems as if we might be heading to another apocalyptic season right now, which may possibly be why billionaires and millionaires are creating doomsday bunkers. And just like the past, The Bible says the kings of the earth, the great men, the rich men, the chief captain, the mighty man, and every bondsman, every free man hid themselves in the dens and of the rocks of the mountains from the things that were coming on the earth. So back to the underground tunnels in Los Angeles and Starbucks. Duh. So underground tunnels in Los Angeles, but
Look at all these different characters. Didn't our boy, what was his name? Something Woodenston? That guy that went into Hollow Earth, he said that they were praying mantises in Hollow Earth. So what do you got? Palladians? Like, what's going on? And then they're talking about their digging. Sorry about the digging. Whoa, my goodness. This is giving Hollow Earth a little validity. A little bit more validity, I should say.
History is different than we've been taught. Look at these pictures of ancient structures in America. Why are they all so huge? These massive ancient structures weren't just built by early humans. They were built by something else. And the Smithsonian Institution has been hiding evidence of this for decades. The Smithsonian Institution is accused of systematically hiding evidence of giant bones to maintain the current understanding of human history. Reports from the 1800s and early 1900s describe the discovery of giant skeletons in America. Mainstream archaeology attributes these bones to prehistoric humans, but some believe they are the remains of giants known as the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki, an advanced extraterrestrial civilization mentioned in ancient Sumerian texts, are said to have come to Earth and created a race of giants to build massive structures. These giants are linked to enormous ancient structures found across America, such as the Great Serpent Mound in Ohio and the Cahokia Mounds in Illinois. The precision and scale of these structures suggest advanced engineering skills far beyond what we believe early humans were capable of. History is different than we've been taught. Look.
We got to dive into that. Serpent Mounds. I want to make sure I get all the buildings.
Giant bones to maintain the current understanding of human history. Reports from the 1800s and early 1900s describe the discovery of giant skeletons in America. Mainstream archaeology attributes these bones to prehistoric humans, but some believe they are the remains of giants known as the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki, an advanced extraterrestrial civilization mentioned in ancient Sumerian texts, are said to have come to Earth and created a race of giants to build massive structures. These giants are linked to enormous ancient structures found across America, such as the Great Serpent Mound in Ohio and the
Serpent Mound in Ohio and
Cahokia Mounds in Illinois.
You know we got to dive into that.
Serpent Mound in Ohio. I don't know if you've ever been there, Joe.
No, I've heard of it though.
It is an amazing. There's Serpent Mound. There's an aerial view of Serpent Mound.
Oh, that is crazy.
But here's the thing.
Beautiful.
You see the head end of Serpent Mound there? So Santa and I went there at the summer solstice. We were there on June 21st, 2017. And my wife Santa is a photographer, and we acquired a drone for this specific purpose. And she flew the drone up 400 feet above Serpent Mound, and we sat it up there watching the sunset. And what happens on the summer solstice, and you can only see it perfectly with a drone, what happens on the summer solstice, you can see it from ground level, but you get up 400 feet, you really get it. The head of that serpent is pointing directly at a niche in the distant hills through which the sun sets on the summer solstice, on the longest day of the year. So it's a sky-ground alignment. Serpent Mound in Ohio. I don't know
Have you guys heard of that? Serpent Mound? Man. Just when you think you've heard of all or seen it all, I guarantee you haven't.
Ohio is home to the world's largest earthen effigy mound, the Great Serpent Mound. The mound itself is 3 feet tall and over 1,300 feet long. Who built it and when it was built is still being debated, but some suggest it was built by the Adena culture around 300 BC. No one knows for sure what the purpose of the Serpent Mound was. While there are burial mounds nearby, excavations into the Serpent Mound itself have never turned up any bodies. There are some who suggest the mound has astronomical significance, suggesting it may have been built as a response to an appearance of Halley's Comet. Others have suggested the mound acts as a type of calendar, as the head of the serpent aligns with the summer solstice sunset, and the coils of the body align with the rise of the summer and winter solstice and the spring and autumn equinox. Interestingly enough, the mound is built at the site of an ancient meteor impact that occurred 300 million years ago. The 8-mile-wide crater is also known as Serpent Mound Crater. Let me know what purpose you believe this incredible feat of indigenous American engineering served in the comments.
Why does a serpent-shaped mound in Ohio captivate the minds of scholars and mystery seekers alike? Could this be a mere relic or a profound message from our distant ancestors? The Serpent Mound stretches an impressive 1,300 feet, mimicking the curves of a serpent, with its head aligned to the setting sun of the summer solstice. This alignment suggests that its creators, the Fort Ancient culture, or possibly even the earlier Adena culture, possess sophisticated astronomical knowledge. As we delve deeper, the mound's purpose remains a topic of heated debate. Was it a spiritual site, aligning the cosmos with the Earth, a marker of time and seasons, or something even more profound? Enter Graham Hancock, a renowned thinker who stirs the pot of conventional archaeology with his radical theories. Hancock suggests that such earthworks are part of a global pattern, evidence of a lost civilization with celestial knowledge far surpassing our understanding. But not everyone is looking to the stars. Some theorists suggest the mound is part of a terrestrial network, a point of convergence for the Earth's ley lines, believed to channel an invisible energy across the globe. While these theories dazzle the imagination, they also challenge us to appreciate the ingenuity of Native American societies. The construction of the Serpent Mound showcases not only a mastery of earth and stone, but also a deep connection to the natural and spiritual world, which resonates through centuries. As technology advances, tools like ground-penetrating radar and aerial drones provide new layers of insight, peeling back the years to reveal more about the people who built this enigmatic monument. Each discovery weaves a richer tapestry of the mound's legacy, ensuring that the Serpent Mound continues to be not just an object of curiosity, but a bridge connecting us to the deep, mystical past of humanity. Why does a serpent-shaped mound in Ohio...
Man, this is getting fascinating. Whoever designed this knew exactly what they were doing. Just to see how they're able to carve into the ground so perfectly and then it matches up with the stars. They knew what they were doing, just like the pyramids.
Ohio, 1848. The Smithsonian Institute surveys a 1,350-foot-long, 3-foot-high effigy mound built in the shape of a coiling serpent. Like the lines and geoglyphs of Nazca, this reptilian motif, known as the Serpent Mound, can only be seen from high above the earth.
In the Native American legend, we call him the plumed serpent, which is probably the same as a Quetzalcoatl down in the tribes in Mexico. The plumed serpent theory is probably related to something that came from the sky. It came from the extraterrestrial territory. Serpent Mound and other places of what the Indians used to call places of worship are very important to study these things. There are certain things that are connected for the well-being of the planet, whether it be the magnetic system, whether it be the ley lines, whether it be observance points from other worlds that existed here before.
According to historians and anthropologists, an indigenous Native American culture called the Fort Ancient people built the mounds nearly 1,000 years ago. But if so, why?
Serpent Mound is an extraordinary site. It is one of the most important sites in North America. It's almost as if somebody is trying to point out that for anybody passing from above, he or she or it is about to approach a site of importance.
Why would a so-called primitive people have constructed a massive earthwork that, like the geoglyphs and lines in Nazca, went unnoticed and undetected by those on the ground for hundreds of years. Perhaps a clue can be found in the fact that the Serpent Mound was constructed on the edge of a meteor crater that was formed approximately 300 million years ago. Coincidence? Or was the mound's proximity to a meteor site intended to mark the presence of a very rare and precious element often found in meteors? Iridium.
Iridium has great conductive abilities, and it's one of the rarest elements we have, and it tends to be concentrated in unique areas for two reasons: either a meteorite crash at some point in the past or volcanic activity and lava flows.
Could the Serpent Mound be a marker where extraterrestrial beings mined iridium as an energy source, as some ancient astronaut researchers believe? And if so, might there be a connection between energy in the ground here and that found in the Nazca Plain? Perhaps more clues can be found by examining the mysterious crop circles discovered throughout the world. Wiltshire, England, 1978. Here, in this tranquil countryside 90 miles west of London, strange crop circles begin to appear overnight in fields of wheat and corn. Like the geoglyphs found at Nazca, the designs are geometric shapes seen only from above.
There is a correlation between the ancient glyphs and the modern crop circles in that they're both being presented to the Earth from what we would call star peoples using a higher technology.
Mainstream scientists have yet to acknowledge an extraterrestrial connection to crop circles. But ancient astronaut theorists remain convinced that there is more here than what meets the skeptical eye. Ohio, 1848.
Who knew Ohio had something that interesting? You know, when you hear about Ohio, it's, you know, unfortunately, it's not the best news, but who knew that they had this?
Someone asked about the Serpent Mound. I've been to the Serpent Mound in Ohio. I don't know.
What's intriguing?
Someone asked about the Serpent Mound. I've been to the Serpent Mound in Ohio. I don't know, about 3 times, maybe a little bit more than that. It's a serpent. It's the largest serpent iconography on the planet that I'm aware of. Now, some people will say, well, there's a serpentine motif over near Gilgal Raphaim. That may be true. So, but let me clarify it. It's the largest earthwork of a serpent that I've ever laid eyes on. I believe it's the largest earthwork of a serpent that's on the planet. When I was there with Fritz Zimmerman years ago, there was a coven of witches. We were there on the equinox, the spring equinox, and there was a coven of witches that were there. Why? Because they know about that site. They know who it is that made the site, who constructed the site, and who it honors. Okay, the Serpent Mound is an undulating serpent that's made out of dirt, but it's highly compacted. How was that done? And it shows a serpent with its mouth wide open. And in front of the serpent is an egg shape. An egg shape. This all goes back to Genesis 3:15. The seed, the offspring, the egg of the dragon will be at war with the egg, the offspring, the seed of the woman. The one coming from the woman, the proto-evangelion, the Messiah, will crush the dragon's head. What is that doing in Ohio? And I have, in one of our films, On the Trail of the Nephilim, we quote Chief Wallace of the Shawnee, because there's all the signage there. The Shawnee built the Serpent Mound. She's on record stating, no, we didn't build the Serpent Mound. It was here when we got here. And you can only see this when you're in the air. Who is the Prince of the Power of the Air? I am L.A. Marzulli. Someone asked about the Serpent Mound.
It's getting deep on these waters, y'all. Drop your thoughts below.
This is the Great Serpent Mound in Ohio. It is an ancient Native American monument shaped like a serpent, and there is a fascinating legend behind it. The story goes that a mighty serpent once terrorized the land, devouring crops and livestock. The local tribes prayed to the Great Spirit for help. In response, the Great Spirit sent a powerful thunderbird to defeat the serpent. After a fierce battle, the thunderbird struck the serpent with a bolt of lightning, turning it into the winding earthwork we see today. The coils of the serpent's body were left as a reminder of the triumph of good over evil. This is the Great Serpent Mound in Ohio. It is an ancient native...
You know what it kind of reminds me of a little bit? There's 2 ways you can spin this. The first way is the snake and the apple, the forbidden fruit in Genesis. You know, when there's a forbidden fruit they weren't supposed to partake of, that's one way you can spin it. Another way I'm thinking of is a sperm going to the egg. So it's a couple different analogies to look at this. All right, I wanted to go into the Cahokia Mounds in Illinois because they did mention that in the video, and it just was, you see where the Serpent Mounds took us.
Story's going to take us to Illinois and the Cahokia Mounds, which was once the location of an ancient advanced civilization. Ancient Cahokia was a wonder. At its peak, it was home to between 15,000 and 20,000 people, and was as large as London in that time, and had over 120 mounds. Many had been built into huge, square-bottom, flat-topped pyramids. In the center of the plaza was the greatest of the mounds, which is known as Monk's Mound, which sits over 100 feet tall. But one day, this great city was abandoned, and its people vanished. The first written record of Cahokia appears about 300 years after the time of its believed abandonment. But there's a bit of a mystery associated with this discovery of Cahokia, too. Early French explorers in 1673 identified mounds near St. Louis, but made no mention of the mounds of Greater Cahokia, like the massive Monk's Mound right here, which is noticeable, and neither did following explorers. It was French monks who recorded the existence of the mounds in 1699. They then colonized the area and actually lived on top of some of these mounds and built a temple on the top of Monk's Mound, which is what later led to it being called the Monk's Mound. After they left, ownership of this land passed hands a few times. But between 1866 and 1925, it was owned by a man named Thomas Ramsey. And during the time of his ownership, about 20 to 30 of the mounds were destroyed. Some were completely leveled. In 1921, the first official excavation was done. There have been many excavations since. Experts were able to piece together some of the history that we know about Cahokia now. It is important to note that the name Cahokia is not actually the name of the ancient city. The name was given to the area by the French monks. They named it after the Cahokian people, which were in the area at the time. The Mississippian culture had no written language and left no records. So no one knows the true name of the city or the identity of the people that live there. And strangely enough, there's also no mention of the city in many native oral traditions either, leading historians to believe that something terrible must have happened here to cause it to be wiped from collective memory. While there is no question that the Mississippian culture has to be the ancestors of some of the existing native tribes, there's no clear-cut direct link to any specific ones, making the Mississippian people themselves a mystery. From the excavations, we know that this was an extremely advanced culture. They built houses of wood, they built temples and roads, and they had a very sophisticated trade network that stretched all the way from Illinois to Yellowstone to the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico. They also had knowledge of astronomy and built what is now known as woodhinge, rings of these red cedar posts that align with the equinoxes and the solstices. There was also evidence found of human sacrifice and the belief in a sun god, much like that of the Mayans and the Aztecs. During the excavations, many strange artifacts and elaborate burials were also found. And Mound 72 was especially interesting. It was discovered that this mound actually held 3 smaller mounds, and about 260 human skeletons. And one burial was clearly that of a great leader, a man placed on a bed of 20,000 rare white seashells. The shells had been placed in a way that kind of resembled a bird or a falcon, with the man's head resting on the head of the bird and his arms and legs on the wings. This particular skeleton came to be known as Birdman, and Birdman was not buried alone. Nearby, they found 54 young women laid out in 2 rows. Their pelvic bones show that they had never given birth, so it's speculated they may have been virgin sacrifices. And also, none of them showed any signs of a violent death. There were also other skeletons found in the mound, which were not neatly laid out and definitely showed signs of violence. Some were missing their heads or their hands. Others were found with their hands buried deeply into the soil, indicating that they had been buried alive. This mound also held many incredible artifacts, including arrowheads and human figurines that had been carved from quartz crystal. They also discovered what is now known as the Birdman tablet, which pictures a masked man with a bird face, which is now actually the logo of the Cahokia Mounds. There are many theories about what could have caused Cahokia's collapse. Climate change, flooding, overpopulation, economic collapse. But in truth, no one really knows. It does appear that war may have had something to do with it, because it was also discovered that there was a 2-mile-long stockade around the center of the city, which was constructed much later than the rest of the city, indicating an effort to protect its occupants from some type of outside hostility. After its abandonment in about 1350, the area of Cahokia stayed oddly empty for a while. The lack of a native presence in the area was actually noted by some early explorers until the arrival of the Cahokia tribe into the area from the east in the late 1600s. When they were asked who had built these ancient mounds, they said they didn't know. Scholars have attempted to narrow down who occupied the city by testing teeth from some of the skeletons that had been found there. And it appears that Cahokia's population was a mix of people. They were able to identify some of the tribes, some of the Natchez, the Osage, Choctaw, and the Ofo tribes. I'm not familiar with that one. But it's also noted that at least a third of Cahokia's population, which were in Cahokia from its very beginning, are an unknown people from somewhere else. It's also interesting that some of these skeletons showed sophisticated dental work, identical to some of the dental work found in some ancient Mayan burials. I do feel like here it's important to note that for a long time it was speculated that this was never an indigenous city and that Native Americans were not sophisticated enough to build this type of complex urban center. So it had to be built by some other race. It was a lost tribe of Israel, that it was the Mayans, that it was the Aztecs, that it was even the Atlanteans. Many times this narrative was put forth as an excuse to take native lands and to treat them unfairly. But obviously that belief is ridiculous, and this absolutely was an indigenous city. But I do think that the evidence of some type of outside influence is very interesting and makes you wonder who else may have been here with the ancient Native Americans. There is so much to the history of ancient America that we just don't know, and it makes it incredibly fascinating to me. But what do y'all think happened to ancient Cahokia? Let me know. Y'all want to hear a story?
Ancient tribes of Israel. Ooh, that's getting juicy.
The pic behind me, that's Cahokia Mound. This one is in Arizona. This one is in Mexico. You see, the point is, America's the real ancient Egypt. We have so many mounds and pyramids here. It's unrivaled to the rest of the world. We got over 2,300 pyramids here. This right here is the Grand Canyon that actually hosts the Red Sea. We can't make this stuff up, guys. We gotta look at this thing with open eyes. This video, we're gonna take a look at Cahokia Mound. We're gonna understand more about it, and why they did it, and how they built it. And we're gonna find out that America was the real ancient Egypt. Because the truth is even stranger than fiction. A lot of people don't know this, but Cahokia Mound was modeled after the stars, Orion constellation in particular. This is an aerial view of Cahokia, and this is what it is from the sky. You could see it's modeled after Orion constellation. And here's a depiction of Orion constellation. You can see how it matches up perfectly. Now, I want you to watch this video.
Is there an Egyptian civilization in the United States? This is Monk's Mound, found in Collinsville, Illinois. Its base is about the size of the Great Pyramid of Giza, and it is many times larger than the Pyramid of the Sun in Mexico. If we look at a map of the Mississippi River, we can see many cities named after mounds and many cities named after Egyptian cities like Cairo in Illinois and Memphis in Tennessee. There are mounds absolutely everywhere along the Mississippi River, going all the way down to Mexico. Back in the 1800s, there was also rumors of an Egyptian find in the Grand Canyon. There was official newspaper articles that said they found gold artifacts and mummies. The mound builders of the Mississippi also created mummies from their dead. Where did they learn this practice that seems so Egyptian? Why did they build pyramids, and why are there so many cities named after Egyptian cities next to these mounds along the Mississippi River?
Knowing what you know now, I bet you're gonna go back and read those history books a little bit differently now, huh? That's because they lied to you about it.
And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud upon the mount.
Yep, America's the real ancient Egypt. The pic behind me, that's...
I'm not gonna lie, guys. It's lining up. The Mississippi being the Nile. Did you hear what he said though? He said the California used to be a Red Sea. We did a video back on that, and you saw how it went off into the Grand Canyon. So was the Grand right here?
This right here is the Grand Canyon that actually hosts the Red Sea.
Look at this. The Red Sea. They have ancient maps. And the Red Sea going straight off into the Grand Canyon? Oh man, my mind is blown, guys. Like this is I just wish we had the truth on everything and we didn't have to follow these breadcrumbs to try to follow the trail of truth on these dark waters, man.
We can't make this stuff up, guys. We gotta look at this thing with open eyes.
You cannot make this up.
However, without thought of their historic, religious, or cultural significance, all but one of these mounds were destroyed. The Great Mound was completely gone by 1869, and only one of the 27 survived until the present day. There was no law against anyone with a shovel digging up these mounds to look for souvenirs, and that's exactly what happened. While what was done here was an offense to the dead, and certainly a loss to science, what was found here was very curious. There were items made of seashells from the Gulf of Mexico, 751 miles away, and earrings made of copper that looked like long-nosed gods. These resembled statues and art from ancient Central and South America. At other sites across America, amateur archaeologists and trained scientists found that these ancient cultures were in fact very skilled in working with copper, much like the Mayans, Aztecs, and Inca.
Found across the Mississippi River. These are Cahokia mounds, found across the Mississippi River from St. Louis, Missouri. This is the large center mound of Cahokia. But I'm going to show you guys something that they don't teach you. There were over 100 mounds in this mound complex. But this mound complex made something on the earth that you don't see. This mound complex was built to mirror the Orion star constellation. You got it right. Orion's star constellation. Orion's belt has the same alignment of the pyramids of Giza and the pyramids in Mexico. This is the same ideology. Those are the same people. This is Orion's star constellation in the sky as the hunter pulls back his bow and arrow. Don't think that Egypt in South America was the only place that had ancient history. We know the truth now. These are Cahokia mounds, found.
Are you kidding me? Did you see how it pulled the bow back? Oh man, that was fascinating. They knew how to replicate that. Man, their technology is on a different level. We just don't make it like that anymore, guys. Drop in the comments your thoughts below on this. We need to talk about this.
This is the Cahokia mounds, found in Collinsville, Illinois. Over 120 mound pyramids was built in this area. 50 of the mound pyramids was excavated and the artifacts never seen again. This was made by the Mississippian culture. From my research, the Mississippian culture were black people. Look at this statue. You tell me if this is a Native American or a black man. Talk to me in the comments.
These people lived in daub and wattle houses on top. The principal people did, the priest and the royalty.
You heard them, the royalty. Let's keep going.
They lived in very substantial houses, not teepees. Not teepees. Teepees, Western Plains people.
They lived in houses, not teepees, like the Western Plains Indians.
Down here, they lived in houses. They were sedentary. They were farmers. They used the rivers and the bayous and the streams as not only for commerce, but for sustenance as well.
With the Mississippi and other major rivers as its highways, Cahokia was linked by trade to a third of the continent. Copper arrived from the Great Lakes, obsidian from Yellowstone, mica and crystal from the Appalachians, gold and silver from Canada, shell from the Gulf of Mexico.
Look at these old live oak trees that have seen so much pass by them. Magnificently dressed Indian people coming down that bayou in a dugout, greeting people, standing right here on this bank, having a good time, because they did. You know, Indian people have always known how to have a good time. And there would be a feast prepared. And the women would put the corn together. They'd make sofki. They would roast a deer. The people would bring gifts. You never go to an Indian's house without bringing something that's as old as the sunrise.
We know the truth now. We know the truth now here. Let's get into it. Indian of the Western Hemisphere. In 1676, the native races of New England were spoken of indifferently as Indians and Moors. And our British Indians are also remembered as Moors. Let's keep going. The term Moor was applied to dark-skinned, brown-skinned, and reddish-brown-skinned people who were not only indigenous to Europe, but to West and North Africa. Even black Indians of the Western Hemisphere were also dubbed with the title. Colonizers called everybody with dark skin, brown skin, and reddish brown skin a Moor. That does not make indigenous Americans Moors. That term came from Europe and Africa. That term has nothing to do with indigenous Americans. But they called it Moor because that is a derogatory term for black people, brown-skinned people, light brown-skinned, reddish brown-skinned people. That does not make you a Moor. That is a colonizer's term from Europe. That's what they called dark-skinned people of Europe. So when they got here, they brought their terminology here and called indigenous Americans Moors. We know the truth now. Melanated Indians, descendants of the mound builders, why they got castles in the background? See, y'all just looking at this. People just looking at this. People just looking at this. What about that? What about that? Why that's there? They built it. They built it. I put a video up last year on my old page. It got it's the Grave Creek Mound in West Virginia. Got a big ass castle. Here go the mound, here go the castle right here. I told y'all, the people buried in that mound lived in that castle. Now it's a goddamn prison. Now it's a prison. I put that information on the internet, man. Ain't nobody do that but me. Now I see everybody talking about it. I told you that shit go together. It go together, y'all. We know the truth now.
A group of Freemasons perform a sacred ceremony in which they lay the first stone used in the construction of the White House.
Cap.
The large stone is intended to be the foundation of the southeast corner of the building and is referred to as the cornerstone.
Cap.
When the White House cornerstone was dedicated, there was corn, wine, and oil poured on top of it. It's the corn of nourishment, the wine of refreshment, and the oil of joy.
Cap, cap, cap.
And that really expresses the hopes of the Masons involved for the success of not only that building, but what it represents, the system of government, and by extension, the nation.
But curiously, the cornerstone of the White House has never been found.
You know why it was never found? Because they didn't build it.
The cornerstone was supposed to be in the southeast corner of the White House, and the ceremony was reported on, and then that cornerstone has never been seen since. It seems to have just kind of disappeared from history. So it leaves you the question, where is it?
I'm going to tell you where it's at. In your imagination. We know the truth now. These are the Seop earthworks and mounds found in Ohio. What they don't teach us is these mounds are aligned with Orion's belt, and the earthworks are aligned with the winter and summer solstice. Huge mounds were leveled down in this area. But let's check out what the newspaper said about these mounds in the early 1900s. The bodies of a royal family of the ancient mound builders were discovered here. Strands of pearl, copper, and silver, and they also had a copper helmet on the skeletons, grizzly bear tusk, and it was also called the American Valley of the Kings. Tombs were found there. Skeletons with some sort of copper apparatus added to the nose after death. Copper helmets, pearl beads, and also a necklace of bear's teeth. But check this out. Look at Orion's belt carved on the tooth. We know the truth now. These are the Seop earthworks.
How tight of a necklace is that? Bear tooth with Orion's belt on it? I want one.
Check this out, y'all. This is the Grand Canyon. This the Grand Canyon. The same, that's the bow and arrow going that way. This Orion's belt right here. It's Mintaka, Analim, or Anatok. It's three temples right there. The Temple of Isis is right here. The Tower of Set is still making look. It's still making the same out. Look at that. Now look at this. It's the same shit, man. We know the truth now.
I'm sitting here thinking Orion's belt was just on Men in Black. You know? Man, that just show you, man, my people are destroyed from a lack of knowledge. They got the real Orion's belt, and as time passes, the bow goes back. Damn, it's not just on Men in Black. It's real, y'all. Drop y'all thoughts in the comments below. Shout out to We Know the Truth for this information.
The genie on the left is from a stone slab in the British Museum. The Birdman on the right was sold at Sotheby's auction house in London. They date to a period from about 700 to 900 BC. In the middle is an example of the corn plant from another Babylonian tablet. Notice they are all very similar. Here is an example of the Babylonian tree of life. It is a tree of corn cobs. Each branch terminates in an ear of maize. Here's another tablet from Babylon, and it shows a farm scene featuring a corn row and a litter of pigs. Here's a colored image of the Babylonian corn row. This is a cylinder seal showing a man with 2 corn plants. The artifact is at the Louvre Museum in Paris. It was found at the archaeological site of Uruk in Iraq. The artifact dates to about 3000 BC. This is the Warka vase from the Baghdad Museum. It dates to about 3,300 BC. We see along the lower register a row of corn plants with irrigation ditches running between them. The plant can be identified as maize because of the huge size of cobs, the waffle pattern on the cobs, and the very large leaves and stalks.
We know the truth now.
The genie on the left is from...
So, we know that's the Birdman from the mound builders on the right. And we got the Naki looking thing on the left. So, they're not aliens. They're the original mound builders is what I'm getting. I don't know. Y'all gotta help me out with this. I'm trying, y'all.
Serpent Mound was built by indigenous tribes and the mound builders.
Energy grid on the planet.
Serpent Mound was built by indigenous tribes.
All right, guys, this is the last one. Then we're going to move on to Cahokia Mounds in Illinois.
Serpent Mound was built by indigenous tribes and the mound builders.
Energy grid on the planet, man. Listen, and it's right here in Ohio because it's only in Ohio. Everything is always in Ohio, of course, man. The original headquarters for the indigenous people, man. Watch this video.
Located in southwestern Ohio, remains as fascinating today as when it was first constructed nearly 1,000 years ago.
Serpent Mound is a giant earthwork. It's an effigy mound that was built by the Fort Ancient culture around the year 1070 AD. This location is really unique, both naturally. First off, this is the site of an impact crater. The terrain around here is very different from the surrounding areas. It's very unique, very complex. If you look at the head of the serpent, the profile from the creek, if you look at the profile of the stone, it kind of resembles a reptile or a snake's head. The first people that built any kind of earthworks here were called the Adena people, and they built the burial mound around 800 BC. The smaller mounds are Fort Ancient burial mounds, which is very unique to this site and to that culture because Fort Ancients usually buried them in stone-lined graves.
Listen up.
Fort Ancient Indians were descendants, we believe,
It wasn't them, though.
of the
It was
Mississippi.
black people.
We believe that the Fort Ancient people migrated into the area that we live in today.
From Mississippi.
Primarily southern Ohio, northern Kentucky, and southeastern Indiana. Fort Ancients were the last prehistoric group, and they lived here from 1000 AD to approximately 1600 AD.
So what exactly is Serpent Mound, and how did the Fort Ancient people use it?
Serpent Mound is a giant effigy mound. It's a calendar to mark the four seasons. The summer solstice sunset lines up.
There's
with
also
the
an
head of
energy
the
center.
serpent. The serpent is composed of three parts. There's the tail, which is coiling. It's on the southwestern corner. Then
Mound
it's
builders.
composed of three eastward-facing bends, which align with the equinox and solstice sunrises. The Serpent Mound was not used as a burial mound. There are no cultural remains or human remains
Sacred
associated
ground.
with Serpent Mound at all.
Meditation.
The mound was
Rituals.
constructed in 3 layers. The initial layer was stone. Above the stone layer is a layer of clay and ash.
I'm going to do a part 2, too. Stay tuned.
Now, the surface of the mound, we do not know whether it was.
I didn't find a part 2 to that video we just watched, but I did find him talking about Egyptian artifacts found in Ohio. So I'm like, we already in Ohio, so let's see what's really going on.
In Ohio.
Hey, yeah, listen. Here we go, y'all. Egyptian artifacts found in Ohio, okay? Not saying they wasn't found in any other state, but I've been getting people asking me questions about, they wanted more proof about the sacred land of Ohio and why Ohio is so important to everything. Well, here's some of the things you should know about Ohio. There was Egyptian artifacts. And just so we be clear, none of these artifacts was, say, in somebody's house and their house caught on fire or got flooded out and just happened to be. No, these artifacts was underground, okay? They was inside mountains. They was inside caves. They was inside pyramids inside Ohio. Yes, Ohio is filled with pyramids. I keep telling you, they are disguised as hills, okay? These mud floods we had They brought machines in and just literally piled mud, rocks on top of the pyramids. That's why you have so many hills in Ohio. So many hills. Everywhere you go, there's hills, mountains, and mounds. Notice the word mountain comes from the word mound. Mound builders, okay? The root word of mountain is originally mound. Not mount, but mound. Okay, so these Egyptian artifacts, look, I'm on Google right now just scrolling. I wanted you to see some of the articles, and there's probably pictures there too. I didn't go to images, but look at this. I clicked on a lot of them just so you can read the paragraphs. I try to go as slow as I can so you can read a lot of them. You can just pause it and read it. So I went slow and tried to scroll up so you can see. Ohio is indeed the heart of it all, okay? That was the old slogan for Ohio for many, many years before they changed it. Ohio is the heart of it all. If you ride up I-75 or 71, anywhere in Ohio, once you get out of the city, like especially of Cincinnati, and just ride and get closer to a little bit past Mesa or past Middletown, the energy really, really hits you. I mean, it hits you in Cincinnati, but it's a lot of man-made buildings and shopping malls, of course, in Cincinnati. But once you get to where it's just barren land, you can feel some kind of cosmic energy kicking in. Everybody else, I mean, all my out-of-town cousins and friends that's been here, they always know. When they come here, they say, it's something different about Ohio. I can feel the different energy. Same, different energy you feel when you go to Georgia, but we have a similar energy grid here in Ohio. Your Messiah, that you guys been waiting on, Christians, is definitely coming out of Ohio. They know that. That's why they poisoning waters, poisoning land, because it's all about to hit the fan, man.
Egyptians' artifacts found in Ohio. Ohio is the Holy Land
Check
Part
it out,
1.
Man. Here we go. Ohio is the Holy Land Part 1. Watch this. I'm going to prove that Israel, Palestine is all in Ohio. The real Israel and Palestine is in Ohio. Check this out. I asked Google, what's the distance between Israel and Palestine in the Middle
According
East?
to Distance Calculator, the shortest distance between Israel and Palestine is 39.48 miles.
Look
The
at this.
shortest route between Israel and Palestine is 63.92 miles according to the route planner. The driving time is approximately...
Now watch this. Now watch this. Then I asked them, what's the distance between Israel Township and Palestine,
The
Ohio?
drive from Israel Township to Palestine is 36.7
See,
miles.
Look at this. Look at the map. There you go. Israel and Palestine. There's Columbus, 51 miles. There's, let's widen it up. There go Columbus. Watch this, y'all. Keep looking. I'm about to prove to y'all now, man. This map pop up. That Israel and Palestine. The real Israel and Palestine is right in Ohio. Look at this. My phone going slow. I apologize for that. Wait till the map pop up. Look at this. All right. Where we at? I'm trying to find the distance. Okay, there we go. Let's look at it. Let's look at it. We'll widen it up a little bit. Okay. Ready? More in the sun at the bottom. 51 minutes. Where's it going to? Ready? See that? Palestine Road. I'll turn it back this way. See it? Look. Okay, let me get out of there. But it's 51 minutes. Israel to Palestine in real life. They know that. They never tell you that. They go Columbus. They go Dayton. They go Ohio. They don't want you to know. Now check this out. No, I'm gonna wait on that one. We'll do a part 2. But I'm trying to let you know, man.
Ohio is the Holy Land Part 2.
Yes. Welcome to part 2 of Ohio is the Holy Land. Part 1 we talked about Palestine and Israel being in Ohio. Part 2 we're gonna talk about Egypt. Let's get started. I asked Google about Thebes, Egypt. Listen.
listen.
According to Egypt Tours Portal, the city of Thebes was considered to be a cult center, a hub for religious activities, and the home of Luxor's best monuments like the temples of the Karnak, Luxor, and Valley of the Kings, where the heart and soul of the ancient Egyptian culture are immortalized.
Now watch this. That's Egypt, right? The fake Egypt. The real Egypt was Ohio. Watch this. Then I asked Google about Thebes arrowheads in Ohio. Watch what happened. Okay? Look at this one right here from Pinterest. I'm scrolling up. It's going to be top article. Watch this. Ohio Thebes arrowhead. Okay? Watch this. 8,000 to 10,000 years old. Now we're going to watch this. What kind of arrowheads are in Ohio? How old is the Thebes arrowhead? Watch this. We suggest an age range of approximately 9,500 through 9,000, okay, BC, or before Christianity. For Thebes Point, this look, you say, where can I find an arrowhead in Ohio? Okay. Yep. The point what I'm making is these are found in Ohio. So let's just see how old the Bible is. Then I asked Google how old the Bible is.
According to Christ's Church, the earliest portion of the Bible was written over 3,500 years ago. The first 5 books of the Bible are attributed to Moses and are commonly called the Pentateuch, literally meaning 5 scrolls.
All right, 3,500, but that arrowhead stone, Thebes, was 9,500 years old. So this is older than the Bible story, obviously. Watch this. Memphis,
Here's a summary from TripAdvisor. Things to do near Memphis and Saqqara. Imhotep Museum.
There's a Memphis, Ohio, too.
According to Wikipedia, Memphis is an unincorporated community in Clinton County in the U.S. state of Ohio.
Same thing. This is where they stealing our culture and taking it over to Africa. Okay? Watch. Cairo, Egypt. Cairo, Ohio.
According to Wikipedia, Cairo is a village in Allen County, Ohio, United
This is the real
States.
Egypt right here, y'all. It's the real Egypt. I've been trying to tell y'all this since day one. This is all our culture.
That's crazy.
They've been stealing it. Just wait for part 3, man. We're gonna go even deeper, man.
Ohio is the Holy Land Part 3.
Welcome to Ohio is the Holy Land Part 3. Part 1, I talked about how Palestine is in Ohio and Israel is in Ohio. Part 2, I talked about the Egyptian cities that's over in Africa originated in Ohio, okay? Part 3, we're gonna continue. Let's jump right into it. Check this out. I asked Google about Alexandria, Egypt. Look what came up. See that? Now watch this. I asked Google about Alexandria, Ohio. Boom.
According to Wikipedia,
Same thing.
Alexandria is a village in Licking County, Ohio, United States.
Then I asked Google about, not wrong, Greece, that's wrong. I asked Google about, wait till that's over. I asked Google about Rome, Rome, Italy. See that? Then I asked Google about Rome, Ohio. This from us.
According to Wikipedia, Rome is a village in Greene Township, Adams County, Ohio, United States, along the Ohio River.
Check this out. Here goes some of the most powerful mountains that was in the Bible, but they all is in Ohio also. Now check this out. Then I asked about Mount Tabor in the Bible.
According to Tourist Israel, for Christians, Mount Tabor is believed to be the place of the transfiguration of Jesus Christ, where Jesus began to radiate light and conversed with Moses and Elijah. The result is that the site long ago became a site of pilgrimage.
Then Mount Tabor, Ohio.
Here is a map of Mount Tabor, Fairfield Township, Ohio, 44656.
There go Mount Tabor, Ohio. And it's also check it out. It's a cemetery. And you know, most cemeteries are energy grids or pyramids. Most of the time, you have a cemetery with hills in it. That's usually a pyramid up under. That's how they hide the pyramid. Just putting dead bodies on top of it. Let's continue. Watch this. Then I asked Google about Mount Pisgah. That's the wrong one.
According to Wikipedia, Mount Pisgah in the Appalachian Mountain Range and part of the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina, United States. According to Wikipedia, some translators of the biblical book of Deuteronomy translate Pisgah as a name of a mountain, usually referring to Mount Nebo.
Then I asked about Mount Pisgah in Ohio.
According to Wikipedia, Mount Pisgah is an unincorporated community in Claremont County in the U.S. state of Ohio.
So there you go. I'm going to continue going, but I'm going to make a part 4. I'm going to keep going until I run out of information. But check these videos out, man, because they don't want you to know Ohio is the Holy Land. And that's why it's so much activity going on in Ohio right now, because this is the holiest land in America. Not saying that any other land is not holy, but we have a certain amount of historical artifacts here to prove that Ohio is indeed the heart of it all. Okay? So we want to continue to spread this message.
That's interesting. I got to do some more research before I fully go. But I did want to hear them out and see the correlations and the connections. It is. But what about all those ancient structures at the places he looked at? Like at Rome, Italy, you can't deny something took place there because you see all those ancient artifacts and those ancient structures there. So it's like, is everything literally buried in Ohio? You know, we need to do a LiDAR or a LADAR or whatever it's called to really scan those mounds and see what's really up under there to have some conclusive evidence. But it was interesting to hear that nonetheless. All right, y'all, that's all I got for today's video, man. It really went through there on there, man. The ancient mound builders is lining up with Orion's belt. It's the same thing going on with the Egypt, and it's a lot, guys. It's I'm probably gonna have to rewatch this one after I make it, to be honest with you. If you made it this far, the code word is ancient people. Drop ancient people in the comments below so I know you made it all the way through this video and you're a real one. I appreciate all you guys that watched the whole video all the way through. Be sure you hit the like button and you're dropping some comments down on the algorithm on the interesting parts you find interesting. And yeah, if you watch it on your TV, grab your phone, type in JetskiChucK. It really helps a lot, those likes buttons, and it helps boost the algorithm. And I just want to thank everyone that does that. And I want to thank you all for watching this video. And I'm going to see you guys at the same time, same place tomorrow. We're probably going to do Hollow Earth. We're going to do the Hollow Earth banger you guys been waiting on. But this was a banger too. Y'all can't lie. I'm not going to lie either. You know, this one was a banger too. But yeah, we digging off in the Hollow Earth tomorrow. So be expecting that video in the evening. I got to get this boy ready for y'all. And I'm going to see you guys same place, same time tomorrow. And I'm going to see all my people that join me on Twitch in the morning. I'm going to see you guys on Twitch in the morning as well. Peace out.